Hi, and welcome to Reading Time from the Children's Bible in 365 Stories. We're going to look at story number 4 called Paradise Lost, and this story picks up with things that happen in the third story. And in the third story, Adam and Eve listened to a snake, the craftiest of all creatures, who told them, this one tree that God told you not to eat from, really, if you eat from it, it'll make you more like God. It'll make you wise and clever like God. And after thinking about that, instead of trusting the God who had said to them, "Oh, you are good enough for me. I like you the way you are," who would walk with them in the evenings, they thought, maybe we could impress God by making ourselves better than God had made us, and chose to eat of the fruit. And when God came that evening, they were so uncomfortable they did not want to go and see God. And our fourth story picks up with God having called them and them coming out from hiding covered in leaves because they were now ashamed of how they looked and where they stood in relationship to God, because God was their friend and they had not trusted God and they had broken that trust. So let's listen to our story. Adam and Eve came slowly out to meet God. God looked long and sad at the guilty pair with their downcast faces and their downcast eyes. "Why were you hiding?" God asked them. "I was afraid to see you because I am naked," Adam stammered. "Who told you that?" God asked. "Have you eaten the fruit from the tree that gives knowledge of what is good and what is evil?" "It was not my fault," Adam said. "Eve made me do it. It was her fault." Have you ever said that when you got into trouble with a friend for doing something you shouldn't have and tried to blame it on them, or on a brother or sister doing something you weren't supposed to do and you tried to make them be the one at fault when it was your idea or you started it? Adam tried to blame Eve because of being in trouble before God. "It was not my fault," Eve said. "The snake tricked me into eating it." She's doing the same thing. Instead of blaming it on Adam, she's blaming it on the snake and wanting it to be the snake's fault and not her own. God spoke to each of them in turn. God explained that by disobeying God, they had spoiled this lovely world and the way God had things set up. Now weeds and thorns would spring up among the crops and flowers. Work would become hard and wearisome. There was something even sadder to follow. God said, "Adam and Eve, you can no longer stay in this garden. We have walked and talked together here. But now you have chosen to do what you want, and that means you have chosen to go away from me. Now you must go out into the world and make your own way. And when you are old, you will die." Oh, how very sad to think about. They have to leave the garden where they were naming and ordering and playing with the animals and all kinds of wonderful things, and seeing all the flowers blossom and the trees, or the flowers bloom and the trees blossom, and all the little creatures going about and able to just pick food from all of the plants that were ripe and ready. Now they have to leave this wonderful place because this place was for them to be with the God that they trusted and who trusted them, and they broke that trust. With heavy hearts, Adam and Eve left the beautiful Garden of Eden. God's messenger, with swords of flame, guarded the gates of the paradise that humans had lost. So it seemed forever. Now they couldn't go back in. They were going to have to go live in a world where there's thorns and weeds and things that compete with the good food that can be eaten. It's going to be hard. They're going to have to work hard on the land for the land to grow. It's not going to grow in the abundance that it once did. It's not going to easily provide them with the food and the things they needed, all because they failed to trust God and chose instead to trust in themselves and ate of the fruit that they weren't supposed to. Now they're going to have to make a life for themselves without God because of their failure to trust in the God who believed in them, who loved them, who cared for them, who walked with them. And that's a sad story. That story resonates for all of us in our struggle to be faithful to God, a God who loves us, who made us, who cares about us. Well, next time we'll look at story number 5, which is about Cain and Abel, the children of Adam and Eve, that they had later on in life after they had left the garden and could no longer go back to it. Have a blessed day.